Hello, honors. I hope you're doing well. It's Mr. McClellan. I wanted to update you on a few things. So I was thinking through the narrative speech, and I forgot that you guys are off technically on Friday, and I don't want to rush that with that. So the good news is I'm going to push back when we'll have the narrative speeches, hoping to have it this week, but I'll push that back to the week when we come back from spring break. Part of the reason is I want you to get you guys set up and going and working on our next unit, which is related to death of Ivan Ilyich. So I want to start kind of introducing that unit, setting that up, and getting those ideas kind of starting to simmer here this week. And then next week, right after the narrative speech, we can go into really just reading it right away. So that's kind of a little bit of change for this week. What I'm going to go through here is kind of the expectations for you and what you should be doing, one of the different things I'll post on Edmodo. So this video will be helpful kind of for overviewing everything that you need to do. It may feel like a lot. So, you know, if you feel overwhelmed by it, what I'd say is you could stop at any point in this video. And you don't need to go through the whole video to understand, everything. But maybe watch part of it tomorrow, and then maybe part of it Thursday. So I'll go ahead and start with here. So introducing this Ivan Ilyich unit. So what do we need to do here before spring break? Well, what you'll find is I'll post on PDF something labeled the Lenten Spring. Oh, sorry. Lenten Spring. You will want to go ahead, download that into Edmodo, or Notability, I mean. Read through page 1, which is kind of just a little bit of transitioning, maybe a poem to celebrate transitioning from Romeo and Juliet to this unit. Then you're going to see something for the steps listed on page 2, and you go ahead and do that. Then always I start this unit by normally a poem, which in this case is Dylan Thomas's "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night." So we always start with that poem and kind of have a rich discussion with that. So partially this post took me a while because I was trying to figure out how am I going to get you guys to have that discussion and what ways to do it and format. So that's something I've been working on. So with that said, I'll show you a little bit. Right, this is the PDF I'm talking about, the Lenten Spring. Page 1, you'll just read through. Page 2, you'll notice it's question formulation technique. We've done this before where you try to ask as many questions as possible just to get you generating ideas. There's different groups, and you'll like my names there. I made those up for fun. So I assigned you all to a different group. So you're going to want to check the Google Slides, what I'm going through, and check which group you're in. Make sure you can access the document there because that's where it'll be posting some of the information. So what I did is I gave you actually different prompts. In this case, I just gave you one-word prompts. So you're going to base a bunch of questions around that. So for novel, in this case, I don't mean new, but referring to the kind of more literary genre, right? You'd ask as many questions about novel. Now, if you were in a different group, you might handle that a little different if you're a group 3, fulfilling life. Fulfilling life, it's a phrase, right? And there's 2 parts kind of that. So you could ask a lot of different questions and take that in a variety of different directions. Okay. Now, page 3, this is what I'm talking about, Dylan Thomas poem. And I try to make it as interactive as possible. Normally we get to watch a lot of video clips in class and look at that. So I put those in there. Normally watch a little bit of Interstellar. And then we look at Dylan Thomas actually reading the poem. Dylan Thomas, famous Welsh poet. Don't want to miss it. This is just absolutely one of those poems that's amazing. And I remember being younger, and for a while, I heard it, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so amazing." And I kind of got, annoyed by it after a while, people talking about it all the time. And what I realized was, after I gave it kind of a chance, like it really is a beautiful poem. And it's very interesting. So more importantly, it raises a lot of good things for our discussion in this next unit. What I will say is I could not think of a more poignant or germane book for our times. So Dylan Thomas is going to kick us off with this unit with this poem, but the book, The Death of Ivan Ilyich, fits with this really well. Now, there's the poem, and then it's going to tell you how to kind of respond and what to do in the PDF there. You also go ahead and read 2 kind of responses to the poem, very different kind of responses, and then you'll post that as well. This part where it's getting into here, this is getting into more of what will be there for going into after spring break. Okay. So that's that. Now, I also wanted to show you the small groups. With the small groups, you'll find, let's say, this one's the gamblers of the upper echelon, okay, QFT prompt on the phrase salvation. Okay. And so what you'll do is you'll generate some questions and you'll post some of them here. I already made the bullet points, try to follow the format. Okay. Then it tells you next step to do. Okay. So everything's kind of laid out in here, as best as I could to kind of get it that you guys can move forward. Okay. So now regarding the speech, what I would say is try to practice it a few times this week, okay, and make any revisions. The reason being, we want to, before we go into spring break, have the speech, solidified. You want to have it in a place where you're not revising it, not changing it. Anything with the writing and changing really the bones of the story, okay, that's all done. So you can come back, right, and boom, we can jump into the narrative speech. Okay, we'll probably do those Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm going to send some more information about trying to figure out what's the best option for that. Okay. Now, it does say at the bottom, see next slide if you want no homework for the week of spring break. Okay, so a lot of this stuff right here is work at your own pace. What I'm expecting is you do something tomorrow and you basically communicate that with your group so you get into the Google Doc. Thursday, same thing, you add to that, okay, complete steps 1 through 4, that's basically related to posting to your small group. Okay. Now, if you want to get it ahead though, okay, you can do that. So there is some work that's going to be due after spring break. Okay. So what I'm saying is, if you want to get all that done before spring break and you have plans and you're going to do that, you can do this. Now, if you're like, I'm quarantined and whatever, I'm going to be bored, you don't have as much of a rush. So just know whatever you're doing and plan accordingly. So do Monday. Analyze one of the poems found in pages 8 through 7. Okay. For that one, let me skip here. Okay. That's, I don't have it on there. Shoot. Let's see. Nope. Sorry. I have it in the PDF. I'll post it on there. But you'll see a variety of different poems kind of listed there. Go to the small group document, post a reflective note about the poem you analyzed. Okay. This is similar to when we looked at kind of the epithalamiums in Romeo and Juliet. I just give you a variety of different poets from centuries and let you kind of just choose. I think we don't let you do that enough. So, third point here, read through the comments of your peers. They write us a comment in Google Docs about something a peer shared related to the poems. Okay. And then using the PDF Life and Times of Tolstoy, post in the small group doc under discussion 4. So mainly, this will probably be the thing that you really kind of need to work ahead on. And what I would say is it's a document, okay, like this that I've designed for introducing kind of Tolstoy in his life. And what I did is on the second page, these are kind of the guiding questions, so it says using the previous pages, or I should say using the pages of the packet, not previous, my apologies, but using the pages of the packet, okay, anything you can answer from here as you go along. So there's going to be lots of information, okay. I'm not going to expect you necessarily to know everything, but what I want you to learn is something. There's a lot of gems in here that actually can help you understand the Death of Ivan Ilyich. Death of Ivan Ilyich is an amazing work, but it's a translated work. So we're stepping into a culture and a world that is different from our own. So we need to make that leap, and this packet is to make that leap. So going back to this, okay, reading through and annotating that packet, okay, that'll basically be due, okay, on Monday after spring break. So some of you, maybe you have time on Friday, okay, you could just do that on Friday, this Friday, you have it done. Others of you, you're not doing anything that in the following next week, so you do that. Okay, some other suggestions for spring break. Okay? If you have a chance, this is not saying that you have to. Okay? If you have a chance, maybe practice speech once or twice. Okay? try to just practice, get more used to it. The other thing is, I might recommend that if you want to do more reading, read The Kite Runner. I don't know if we'll get to it at this pace kind of we're at and with how kind of things are up in the air. So, and this is a book, honestly, we normally read very independently. It's like a book I'll say, okay, chapters, 1 through 10, that I want to do on this date, and we'll talk about it. And then chapters 10 through 16 on this date, and we'll talk about it. And then chapters, whatever, the last final chapters, do on this date. And we might have only 3 discussions. So it's pretty limited. What I would say is you could go ahead and pick this up and read on your own, and wow, okay, talk about a book that would be powerful to read right now. One, because it is very entertaining and it is can get you hooked and grab you in. What I will say is, read at your own discretion. So I normally tell that to students because there is going to be a pretty graphic moment earlier in the book. You're going to know when it is. You're going to see it coming. Okay? What I tell students is, if you need to skip a page or 2, feel free to do that. Okay? You can totally do that. I have no problem with that. And believe me, you'll get the main idea of what happened. So it's not like there. Now, what I'd say is, I think in this case, when we come across something like that, graphic nature, kind of this, that's a little bit up to you in discerning what type of reader you are. Some of you, the images and description there, it's just not something you want to touch. Others of you, maybe it's okay with them engaging that. So, read at your own discretion if you do go ahead and read through Spring Break. Review materials with Tolstoy. Okay, that what I would expect a quiz on Monday or Tuesday. Okay. And I'll probably post later a slide presentation I have on Tolstoy's life, and you can fill out a PDF. I would recommend working through that before, during, or after spring break, so you're ready for that quiz that'll be on Monday or Tuesday. So it's looking ahead. Okay, now for the groups. Group 1, for the motherland. So we have one group that's 5th period, one group that's 6th period always. Group 2, the simple serfs. Don't be insulted, some of you. Maybe Joey can be insulted or something. Just kidding. Sorry, Eddie. No, the simple serfs. I personally picked these titles because they're actually going to be important to the book itself. So they're terms and ideas that are somewhat present within the death of Ivan Ilyich. Tolstoyan monastics. 5th, there's no group. 6th period, you have a group. I will talk about them with a later presentation, which Tolstoy did. Yes, Tolstoyan, his followers were a thing. They were an actual group. So the author as celebrity. Group 4, the gamblers of the upper echelon. Here are the people that treat us awful, normal people working in the world, and you decide to gamble all of your estate, your factories, your money, whatever else you're doing, and then, all the poor workers just are basically left to basically kind of do whatever. So, yes, we'll talk about this. Tolstoy did at one point gamble away, whole villages. And this was very common in the upper echelon of Russian society of his time, aristocratic. So Google folder for 5th and 6th. So you'll click on it, and then you'll see the groups in there. You'll click on theirs. Now, if you're curious of looking at what other people are doing, you can always look at a different group, but you don't have to. If I missed placing you in a small group, please let me know. Like I said, main thing is Death of Ivan Ilyich. I'm very excited about this unit. And honestly, I don't know how this is going to change how we read it all. But like I said, it's just a very germane book for our time right now. So looking forward to that. We'll wrap up kind of the narrative speech and get going from there. All right.